in here? It smells like guilt. It smells like guilt.
Smells like guilt.
So, well, at least you can see peanut butter. It smells like
Okay,
guilt.
it's up.
I'm gonna go,
Shane's waiting to get in. So let him in. Turn on your video.
camera.
No, that's your camera. We need the other one. Where is it? No, it's not showing up. Last time it took a minute. So let's give it a minute.
I am on.
Not showing it. It's showing him at least. So even if you can't record. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I was. There's the tape.
Chris, Marty, should be saying anything.
Look.
Why is it doing that?
I don't know. See if you have a sticky note or something.
Watch your fingers. Doesn't have
I'll go
sticky
get
note
one.
anywhere. This cord is like. This up over. All right. Do you need, oh, you have that one.
Just changed view. I'll be hiding behind there. There you go. Okay, so you're recording it.
Yes.
And this is what they'll see. Okay.
And then when I go to show, that's what I do. Share.
It won't, I don't know if it will work, but yes, okay. I think you're good. I'm gonna go finish cleaning up some stuff.
Are we good to go? Okay.
We are.
Oh. We ready to go? All right, we're going to go ahead and start the planning commission meeting for this evening. I want to thank everybody for their patience in getting this meeting started. We had a little overtime with a court session earlier tonight, so thank you for your patience. Is there anyone that's joining us online?
We have Shane Turner online.
Online, okay, perfect. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and let's open up the meeting with a pledge of allegiance by Marty McFadden.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and
Because
justice
it's
for
not
all.
letting you come into the cameras.
So we're not gonna see that.
Jumping right into.
Not unless you keep
the
checking
meeting.
and
We're
seeing
gonna
if
open
it
up
comes
public
up.
comment.
It has
And
to
this
change
is
over.
public comment that is on anything that you like to talk about. Although I will ask if you have any
Well, that might
comments
be why.
regarding the request to rezone, that you pulled back to the public hearing, so we get to that agenda item. And basically just please follow the following guidelines, keep your name and city, direct comments to the entire commission, and you have 3 minutes or less, and know that we will not long. So, can I get a motion to open? Oh, yeah, no, okay, public comment time period is open. And seeing as there's no public comments, we're gonna go ahead and close the public comment period and move right into our first action item on the consent agenda for May 23rd, 2024, the minutes. Anybody have any comments? Questions, concerns? Appropriate? Take a second. Okay, all right, and all in favor, roll call vote starting with Commissioner Roberts.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. All in favor, so approved. Moving right along, public hearing for Cooper's Landing. This is a request for rezone. Lance, would it be appropriate to have you kind of give a little bit of background first, and then we'll have the public hearing, and then we'll have the.
Oh, yes, absolutely. In fact,
I'll give an overview of public hearing and applicant response, or how do you want to do it?
do you think it'll help if you hear from the applicant first before the public hearing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I think let's do it in that order. So that way, if there's any comments,
Okay.
you first, hearing, or,
So this is a request, I'll get into it. This is a request to go from, and the zoning map shows it as agricultural. The property owner in their application said R1, but going from a low density zone to R5. And the general plan is residential moderate. It's 2.2 acres. The property itself sits between 475, it's just on the west side of 475, adjacent to the townhomes, across the street from General RV, where it's going in. As I reviewed the project, I just looked at different elements, and my recommendation is based on the fact that I didn't know if the community, if putting in single family homes was a very viable location, given its proximity to the interstate and commercial. But the general plan does allow, it does recommend that that should be moderate density, which is under 4 units per acre. And the rezone is R5, and it allows up to 5 units per acre. So it's a little bit more than what the general plan recommended. But I think there's extenuating circumstances there that the planning commission and city council could consider and go either way. That applicant.
How are you guys? My name is Chris Cave. I'm from Regan Associates. So we've been working on this project with Shane Turner for quite a while. He bought the property. It wasn't quite 2 acres. It had to be 2 acres to become R5 or 7. Then the zoning changed. So now we're going for R5, which is 5 units per acre. It took him a little over a year and a half to acquire the property from UDOT in order to get the over 2 acres so we could meet the ordinance to do that zoning. A couple of, can I show you the map? So just a couple of items on the map. He only has access to about this point. From here on, it's no access. So this would be our access point. Really, the only access he has to the property is that point. So as far as like medium density lots, he's got frontage, but he can't use the frontage. And then also just with the RV going across here and the townhomes backing that, we just kind of feel like this is probably the best use for the land. The units that he have is using a pretty good, it leaves a pretty good buffer between the 2 buildings. The pathway is back here behind here. So we feel like as far as like the use of the property, it's probably the best use for the property. Just hoping for your help on that.
thank you. Anything else you want to say to general audience, commission?
No, I think I can answer any questions you guys have on it, but no, I think that pretty much covers it. The other thing is, when I met with Lance, it's like looking at the back of those townhomes, they look like barracks. So when Shane does the design of these buildings, they will not be flat face, they'll be multi-surface, they won't, I mean, multi-peaks roofs, it just won't be a flat wall. So that's important to him too.
Okay, anything else you'd like to
No,
share?
you want me to sit down?
I was saying,
Okay,
thank you so much.
thanks.
And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and ask for a motion to open up the public
Okay.
hearing to allow any comments from the audience that would like to be said. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to open up the public hearing for Cooper's Landing.
And I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Okay. The time is now yours. Again, please remember to keep your comments to 3 minutes or less.
It's gonna be very quick. Some of it was already answered, still question that was raised.
Thank you.
Paul Sturr, South Weaver City. My comments, of course, are on the Cooper's Landing. It's a rezone request, and the questions I have are concerning the actual material presented in the packet. Page 5 of 15 from the staff shows a request being made from A to R5, as is shown in the excerpt from the packet. Whereas in the zone change application shown on packet page 12 of 15 from Shane Turner shows a requested zone change from R1 to R5. Which is it? This is the official document that was accepted by South Weaver for this zone request.
Thank you. No other comments? Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
I move to close public hearing on ordinance 2024 for,
And I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
wasn't for the ordinance, it was for the.
Oh.
This is just for the public hearing.
This is for the landing. Cooper's Landing.
Yes.
And who seconded that?
I did.
Wait.
Or no?
Well,
Did I do it or did-
Yeah.
No, I did.
Julie, yeah, you did.
I seconded it.
So who made the motion?
Scholar.
It's been a while since we've done one of these.
Let out
We're a
noise.
little rusty.
All right, now we're gonna let the commission, and not to put anybody on the hot seat, but who wants to start with thoughts, comments, questions you might have? We're gonna start the count or commission discussion.
So question, I was just say really quick question. So are we talking about, he brought up the plans. That's not necessarily in this discussion, right?
This is just a rezone
So
request,
that's reasons. We can't talk about the plan or kind of provide or anything like that. Okay,
unfortunately. no.
just to be clear.
Lance, do you have something?
Just to clarify once again, the zoning map shows that property is agricultural
Right now,
right now. The application form that was submitted by the property owner said R.
Mhm. it's the same thing, because basically it's one. Correct.
So I mean, yeah, what it's going from is not as critical as what we're proposing it to.
Into.
Okay, so form over substance, or substance over form here, because R1 and agricultural are essentially the same.
1 unit per
A
acre.
very similar level residential density.
Right.
I did have a question on the future land use. It looks like this area is actually designated as residential low moderate, which is 1.85 acres. So I want to double check that because you said it was residential moderate, which is 2.8 units per acre.
It's residential moderate on the projected land use map.
Oh, you're talking about the general plan though, right?
On the future, yep, on the future land use.
Right. The general plan says residential low moderate density.
What was it, Lance?
Okay, so the projected land use map shows it as RN. What are you referring?
Oh, I'm just reading
Okay.
it off.
No, you're good. That was my mistake. I was thinking it was showing up as that yellow.
Good.
but it is the mustard. Okay.
So, yeah, basically in this, in the packet, I mean, just to make sure that I'm clear, because I'm a little slow. In this little matrix here, down at the second line at the bottom, it says general plan, land use, classification, residential, low, moderate density.
That's a mistake on my staff report. It
Okay,
should be
so that
RN,
is
but
incorrect.
residential moderate.
Okay, all right, cross that hurdle.
Just a little.
So,
And according to the general plan, they want to limit the number of multi-housing units around single-family zoning, right? So technically, so the townhomes there are part of that. So we're just kind of adding more to where the townhomes are. But to the general plan, it's already too many units per acre. It's kind of, if you include the current townhomes, then do we include the current townhomes?
No, we don't. Because Freedom Landing was approved when we had R7, which we had a density that allowed up to 7 units per acre.
Right.
That zone is no longer part of city code. So what we have is R5 is our max residential zone. But we do have the general plan, which has an area designated as residential moderate, which is 2.8 units per acre.
Okay.
Which according to my calculations, that gives you, I mean, you have to round down 6 units. So 6 units versus the 11 that are being proposed with the R5 zone.
Okay.
Can I clarify 2 things there?
Mhm.
One is the 6 per 11 units. We should go to the maximum, because with this rezone you're proposing, if the zone is adopted in its
So
entirety.
we're not proposing.
What is before you,
Mhm.
you're allowing for the maximum number of units, so you would not have, once you've rezoned it, they would be allowed to maximize their units if they can fit them on there.
Oh, yes, absolutely. If the R zone or R5 zone is recommended for approval to city council, it would allow them up to the 11 units.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, same
And
page.
then- And then the other item, and I'm not sure if Chris was exactly saying this, but we wouldn't look at it with the existing townhomes, like this area is gonna have this level of density.
No,
It would
yeah,
be property by property,
right,
just
yes.
to be clear.
So I've got a couple of concerns. I don't like doing a rezone without a conceptual plan. And the minute that we had here with it, I would have liked to have seen something before that. Also, we've got general RV going across the way, and the entrances to general RV are going to be, I think if I'm remembering correctly, pretty close, or maybe directly across from where the entrance is here.
right,
It'll be
I-
just north.
I would like to see what the traffic is with general RV first before we changed anything on this.
And also with questions, does this area have to have 2,
Entrances
It
in
will
it.
not.
Because it's under 30 units, it
Okay.
doesn't require the 2 points.
Okay.
But one concern I have is if you're maximizing the number of units, are you allowing sufficient fire truck access? If something was to happen, within this community, within this parcel of land, yes, you've got the frontage all along 475. Say for some reason that becomes blocked, how do you then service? And I know in the report, it says that there was minimal impacts. How do we know that there's minimal impacts to the surrounding infrastructure?
can I,
Was there a report done, traffic study done, anything like that? I'm asking.
With the maximum of 21 units on the 2 acres, that's as a per
21 units?
so 11.
11, yeah,
Okay.
5 per
I'm
unit.
like,
11 total.
hold please.
I was having-
11 units total,
So
okay.
11 units, that is not making a significant impact on the power, water, utilities, traffic. That's a relatively small number of units to be adding to a location that's immediately south of the interstate.
Okay.
Is-
Can I-
Is what I was referring to.
Now, I guess I'd like to ask, and not make the assumption, but Chris, you've presented to us the proposal there. Is it, so that we're not just making the assumption, but can you confirm the fire access?
Yeah, we do, we do have a fire, the hammerhead turnaround at the end. The concept was submitted to the city, so it's not secret.
Right, yeah,
So the entrance is here, there's a hammerhead turnaround at the end to get back out.
okay,
If we had to, he's got access down here because he bought this piece of property from Mike Ford.
Mhm.
So if we had to put a secondary access back here, we could. If there's a concern with fire access, but this meets the state fire.
okay,
So this is a hammerhead turnaround that we've got built into it.
okay.
So, and that's why we pushed it back, so we can get your street section A in there that's required in R5. And then the fire turn.
And so that avenue there, is that like the 24-foot wide road access?
Yeah, it's your street section A, it's the only one that's allowed in R5.
And so you're looking at a total setback with driveways, access point, and the easement to the road at about 45 feet, 75 feet. Oh yeah, because you got 20 feet, 24
Yeah, 'cause
feet.
I've got a big greens buffer here to get it away from the road.
Okay,
Plus the space to the road, there's still more.
so you got, I mean, those are backed up to the existing Freedom Landing
Yeah, so
townhomes
your
as far as they possibly
patios-
can.
Yeah, your patios and everything would be in the back.
Mhm.
So from the roadway from 475, you can see the base of the project. You
Right.
can see the back, like you're seeing.
Right, so you're seeing the face of the project and you have a huge setback.
Yeah.
Of landscape space.
Yeah, and like I said, this is the end of where they can access.
Okay.
You can't access anywhere else.
Okay,
And he is preserving the existing.
And just, this may be not viable, but the land is for sale right now, right?
Shane, you own this, right?
Is the microphone, yeah, do you mind? I know this is gonna be hard.
You got to flip
I
it.
don't know, yeah. Will that
Can you
pick
hear
up
me?
what he's saying if he uses one of these ones? Yes? Okay. Perfect.
Shane, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
You own the property?
Correct. I do own the property. I did have it
I'm
up for
pretty sure
sale.
it's
I had a,
under for sale right now.
I had it.
I think he has it listed.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So I'm just worried, like, is this a permanent, is he gonna do it if it's for sale? And then he can sell it?
He owns the property.
He owns the
Okay.
property.
Yeah.
This
Right.
developer that's coming in that has the plan
Correct.
to develop it
Yeah.
with obviously the approval
I'm saying
or recommendation.
for sale, so then if someone else buys it, and then this may change.
He needs to be used, they need
Yeah,
to
but
be
we
using
would
their
get-
microphones. And
Yeah,
he
make sure we
needs
can hear
to-
you guys.
Okay.
Well, we got this and this.
Sorry.
Turn that one at the
We'll
very
just go over
end.
there.
There you go.
Yeah, that'll
Okay.
work.
The reason is this meeting is recorded and.
We
you
wanna be
can't
able to
pick
capture
up
it.
anything
Okay.
if the mics aren't being used.
To answer your questions.
And also, could you state for the record, because we can't see where you're pointing,
Yeah.
where is the only access from?
So you've got your existing, is that a water pump? Is that right where you guys are?
Okay, again, you're pointing, so
It's a pump
it's
station,
just
so
north of
it
the
is-
inner,
It's just north of there.
of the
There's
residential. So you're
another
coming off of
building
four
there.
seventy-five.
Yeah, it's right in front of that existing pump station.
Off of 475.
Oh, yeah. Probably maybe 150 feet from Old Maple Grove.
so I pose the question. If this is going from a density that allows for five units, basically 5 or 6 units to 11, aside from the fact that this is designed in a 2-building configuration, which would probably be, well, it would have to be a 2-building configuration if it was 5. I guess I have to ask the question, what is the vulnerability here of allowing for this in a location that is across the street from a commercial building next to a major freeway? I mean, this is not in the middle of town. This area used to be agricultural. It's now, been brought to fruition with commercial. What is typically recommended in city planning is to put your highest density housing next to commercial and not your lowest density. I think it would be a disservice to have a lower density in this area to whoever lives there, being across the street from a commercial general RV.
So what's the question?
So the question is, what is the vulnerability of putting a two building structure accommodating 11 units versus a 2 building structure that would accommodate 5 units in this area?
6, you mean? Because I think on comments, and if we get to your question and the answer, I am curious why, knowing that the future land use had it designated, which would give you 6 units. For me, if that was presented, that would be a no-brainer because it matches the general plan. It matches what the city went through 2 very long, intense surveys designating what we wanted for the future of South Weber City. I would have no problem with that. The heartburn I'm experiencing is going to our max density in an area that is still being developed. We don't really know quite yet what the impacts are going to be with general RV. And I'm looking at this from the standpoint of these future residents that will be moving into these homes and becoming a part of the South Weber community. I want this to be a place that they would be happy and proud to move into. I don't want them feeling like they're moving into something that just got crammed together to get as much density as possible. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Well,
Doesn't it follow the general plan
Not at the R5
that they're requesting?
that they're requesting.
Yeah, we're requesting the R5, and the reason we're requesting. the
Yeah, I want
R5
an
is,
explanation of that.
Like, when he bought this property, he met with the city,
Okay.
and the opportunity was, nobody ever committed anything, but in meetings, it was R7. So then he bought the property.
Okay.
So then, after he had bought the property, he had to buy it from UDOT to get the 2 acres. So to get the 2 acres took about 1.5 years. And in that time,
Codes change
R7 was gone, and then R5.
is now our max.
Yeah, so I mean, I would say, if I'm gonna speak for Shane, that if you guys aren't interested in an R5, we want to table it.
Okay.
Cause he doesn't want the RM.
Okay. He doesn't want the 6 units
No, he
that
doesn't
the
want the
future
6.
land
And
use map.
I thought you gave an explanation as to why, when you brought that over here earlier, I thought you gave an explanation as to why R5 instead of the other.
Well,
Well-
you couldn't do, reasonably, you couldn't do residential lots, right? Because number one, there's a embankment,
Sure.
so you can't put driveways down there.
Mhm.
Number two, there's no access from UDOT. So you'd have one access. And then we'd have to put a 70-foot right of way in there with the big turnaround. If we did a traditional subdivision, it most likely wouldn't be built with setbacks. And it, to me,
Yeah, this is
my
the safest
opinion-
way of building it.
yeah, my opinion is you've got those townhomes behind it that are a big gray blank wall and RVs across the street, right?
Mhm.
So how many people are gonna build a $750,000 house on that?
And I think another way to look at this is the housing type that would be accommodating here is not going to necessarily, well, I don't think that hurts anybody who's lined up to move into South Weber. I don't think that there's somebody saying, well, gosh darn it, I thought I was getting this, but I'm not. This housing product appeals to a certain demographic that allows for this community to have a larger diversity of demographic, which is part of having a healthy community.
And he has presented this property to 2 service stations, and it's not deep enough. And there's only one access.
Service stations,
Maverick
meaning,
and Cummins.
for a gas. Okay.
So he's explored everything
All the
from
opportunities.
commercial to mixed use to residential. He's explored everything.
It's in a bad place.
Yeah, this is unfortunate. I have a question, and Lance, you may or may not know this, and I don't know if Blair, you could weigh in. Did we ever cap the number of buildings that could be in a run for townhomes?
We did.
We did.
Yep.
Was it 5?
4 or 5.
That's where I can't remember if it's 4 or 5. Okay. Because I don't know, again, on the drawings and the renderings, how many total buildings you
I
have.
have 2 buildings, 2.
You have
five
2
houses.
5-plexes,
Yeah,
so
and then
10,
the existing home.
and then the existing home stays
Yeah,
in
so 10
place.
townhomes and 1 existing home.
And 1 existing home.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why the packet says 10 dwelling units per 2.2 acres.
Okay.
In the exploration of commercial options, was the house coming down for those options?
Yeah.
And then that would, if that happened, I mean, as far as 2 points of entry, like the one that you talked about on Old Maple Road, that would be in a terrible spot, in my opinion, anyway, but
That's not wide enough for that street section A.
It wasn't?
That's where our access was, but it's not, it doesn't.
Oh, okay.
So, we tried to do it with tearing the house down and coming up the backside. It doesn't work. This is actually better because it pulls the buildings away from 475.
Sure.
And we could actually pull them back further, but we were trying to keep like a green space behind the buildings, just so there's a place for kids to play.
Yeah, that part I agreed with.
But there is room to pull it back.
I mean, the
May I
proposal here makes that area look more attractive.
Sure.
You know, it does develop that area, you know, to a way that makes that corner more viable. You know, if we say no, what we're looking at is waiting for some other, you know, proposal to use that land.
Again, we're just recommending.
That's just a recommendation.
Yeah, approving for
So
recommendation.
city council will do it.
No, I'm not saying we're approving this.
Blair's like, thanks.
Yeah, we're recommending or denying this.
I will say, I like that it's residential and that it's bringing more households, which is what we want for South Weaver. I still just feel the density is a little too high. And I wish there was a way that we could come to a happy medium, unfortunately, but with the request in front of us, it's either this 11 units or not. So, any other questions,
No,
comments?
I spent time over there and I mean that, yeah, it just is. Just the slope, I mean, it's.
The pump
really
station
is
there,
just
plus you've got the
mostly
exit and that
Because, I mean, I
sweeping T.
personally would prefer commercial, but I don't see how.
No.
I don't know, I just don't see how anything other than this option works, whether I like the option or not.
Who owns that pump station? Is that South Weaver City? Or is that
It says,
Weaver Basin?
I think on the map, it says just like United States of America. Like it's just-
Yeah, so that would be
America.
Yeah.
It's Weaver Basin? Okay.
Yeah, my concern, again, like you said, we just don't know what the impact of general RV is and all of that traffic right there.
But with this being like the only place you could access it, if
Yeah.
you did commercial, you'd have a bigger impact.
Correct.
Yeah, because
More-
no matter
more
what
traffic.
goes on here, that's the only place you can get in.
And then that entrance, so you said that's roughly 150 feet from Old Maple Road, and I believe that the one RV is directly across, like. that's
It
gonna
lines
become
up.
an
So where Old
intersection,
Maple
right?
Road
Goes-
goes,
and then
their
the other
general
one was
RV goes
somewhere-
straight across.
Somewhere was over
Pretty far
here.
down, yeah,
Mhm.
right, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looks like on this.
But
image I
this
have.
one for general RV, that is their
Right, it's
main
right-
access
it's right
point,
there.
because remember the one on further to the east is a gated, controlled
That's
entrance and exit. It's
Correct.
not for public use. So,
Yeah, I mean, which leaves that spot being the only, it's either that or the land's not usable.
this is a piece of property that's also had the flex zone, which is code that has not yet been approved.
It's not a nice house on it with some acreage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would,
Yeah.
I will propose the thing I normally propose, and if I could just buy it and do that, I would.
You would
just
do it.
that.
I will say, I have some concerns
I
with
saw
the one
Rich-
entrance, because
Southern
looking at where that's at,
California.
if you have people lining up to turn into general RV and they're trying to head northbound, southbound, you're fine. But heading northbound, what's gonna happen? And then, because there's a median lane? Or is it just the two travel lanes?
Just the two.
Yeah.
That one's.
I have concerns there.
I'm no traffic expert.
Actually, there might be a median on that one, actually. but-
I don't travel on that one enough to,
I'm just saying,
Is
none
there
of
a
us are
turning
traffic
lane
experts.
in
Do
the
we need
middle?
to have a traffic study done? to
it's just the two.
Recommend.
I do
Yeah, I
live-
mean, I'm
I
not
do live
either.
over there, so it's actually fine.
I don't foresee, I mean, I really think the general RV traffic is gonna be fairly minimal, minus like maybe grand opening and initial load.
Saturdays will be busy.
Weekends.
Does it make 7 to 9 sales a month?
They have a
That's hard.
parts and service department too.
Right, yeah.
I would have liked to have seen the concept plan in our packet.
It was not submitted as part of the application.
Okay, well, I'm,
Now, all of the things that we've been bringing up, hand wringing of all these external infrastructure questions. I go back to my initial question that I don't think has been answered. Because would any of these concerns still be a concern if it was 5 units versus 10?
If it was 6 units, no.
Why not?
I mean, no, I shouldn't say no. I would still have concerns about just the location of the one entrance point. But by having 6 units, you then have 2 separate buildings. And I'm just obviously going to project, this is not what you're proposing. But then they'd be 2 buildings of 3, which gives a lot more open space. It gives more options for additional parking. Because that's the other thing, are the driveways going to be sufficient enough and long enough to accommodate, 2 additional parking spaces, including what the garages would provide. Fans, friends, family, people coming to visit, would they have sufficient parking? Because there's no way there's gonna be any parking on 475.
Right, and I think that we have enough, I mean, when that gets submitted, I mean, it still needs to meet the requirements, just as anybody else had for garage and driveway space and parking, so. I don't know, and then if you minimize the units to 6 and have that much more open space, then now we're expecting that space all to be maintained as well. To stay presentable, I don't know. I think it's like a double-edged sword on that.
If it's even viable.
Sure.
I think that's the other thing I'm weighing in my head is it viable
Mhm.
at 5?
Yeah,
5 more housing units will sell. 6 more housing units will sell. 11 more housing units would sell.
I think so.
because that one wanted to
Respectfully.
not sell and not sit empty. And I'm not in real estate, so I don't know what building across the street from general RV as opposed to building across the street from other residential, would be like. But I would just think you with 6, you have to drastically either make them that much bigger, and increase the price to even make it worth doing the project at all.
Right.
Or we're just stuck back to an empty lot.
I know we are coming up on a general plan revision this next year.
Don't remind me.
Strap in. So maybe there's something, I kind of go back to the two guiding documents or the available documents that we have, and that's literally our code and the general plan. And I have a hard time, like personally, we have 5 probably different opinions of what we'd like to see here, but personal opinions don't matter.
Sure.
It's,
Being the only one, well, in this personal opinion can matter. But being the only one of this group who was involved in the last general plan update, I like what we got in there. And it was made very loud and clear by our residents. And in fact, I'm surprised not more of them aren't here. Honestly, I think if they would have read this a little closer, we would have probably had 15, 20 people here. But I'm like Commissioner Losi, if it was in line with what was in the general plan for the future use, I would be a yes for this because that's what we forecasted. I'm not comfortable with this right now. So.
not that we're asking everybody to take a vote now, but if there's any other comments or questions or discussion that you guys would like to have.
I guess as not being a developer, I mean, and not having any plans, so assuming that we did that, like how would you foresee it? Just like, can you give me like a visual of what it would look like if we did? Like, are we just still saying that it's gonna be townhomes, just less townhomes? Because we can't do.
It could also be, yeah,
So then they would just be single family
single
homes
family homes.
So you're talking setbacks.
With no
and
access.
but we can't get in there.
The only time you allow townhomes are.
That's what I was thinking. So, but with the access, I'm just curious, like, I mean, I don't
That's
disagree.
not my
I don't
problem.
disagree with you at all. But I'm just not understanding how it physically works if we did stick with it.
I agree with you. I think that fundamentally, I understand where both you, Gary, and Julie are coming from and saying we need to preserve the open space of South Weber. And I look at this as being non-viable for having, separate driveways on a busy road. Having this parking lot style townhome construction is the safer route to go on an arterial road such as this. I think this is the proper use for this space. So, I'm coming at it from, my past when I was developing and when I was working with cities and with, really being a partner with, what's the best use, what's the safest use of this space. I understand. I understand the pathos of people saying, well, I used to, catch frogs down in the ditch over here, when I was a little kid with my buddies. We used to, hide in, these tall brushes when we were playing hide and go seek, and it's all being ripped away from me. I totally understand all of that pathos. But this land is really dilapidated and has lost its use from an era when this land looked very different. And so now we do have, entitled space being constructed for general RV, and we do have this sweeping T that's accessing these new developed areas, and this single access point parking lot area with townhomes is the safe, proper way that communities, small communities just like South Weber all over the United States are seeing, yeah, that's the better way to use that space. So please, I don't want to feel like I'm heartless. I don't want to feel like I'm, squashing people's, historic lives. But I'm looking at this from a.
So I'm the historian in the room, and everything you said is not my perspective.
Well, I'm not saying it is. And
I've only been here 6 years. I haven't been here 5 generations.
Thank you, but I'm not assuming that of you. But there are multi-generational families in this community that do feel that way. So I'm looking at this as a planning commissioner. a land use expert. So, you know, yeah, and authority. So I'd like to make sure that we're looking at it from that lens.
And I appreciate that. I think that's fair to say. But I also think as the land use authority, you have to look at what your tools and the tools you have in your belt to utilize to make those recommendations.
So this, but for.
Yeah.
I want to make the compelling argument that the but for, this is making it a safer place.
Was residential patio homes considered at all?
Yeah.
I'd hate to have
We just
residential
can't- we just
patio
can't get
homes
a
there.
road.
That is
I mean,
horrible.
Well, that at least gives
Right off of a
8
freeway.
units, not townhomes,
but
more
I have to
separation
do a
in
public
space.
Road if I do it. in the
Yeah, there would have to be a road access. Okay,
And the,
just a random thought.
and
Just-
the turnaround really eats it up, like a regular cul-de-sac really does not fit.
It's just an awkward piece of property.
Yeah.
It's odd.
Unfortunate.
Just for my own curiosity, theoretically, if the pump station was on the other end of the property, then it would be easy to have all of our access points. I'm not saying we can move the pump station.
Sure, yeah, you'd be able to take advantage of the whole corner.
You
Sure.
want to reach out to
Then it would
America?
just-
See if they're willing.
Just call them. I know.
Call America.
Let's call
They're
America.
not doing too good.
Okay, well, first, I do appreciate you standing up there and
Yeah,
answering our
thank you.
questions for as long as you
Not a
did.
problem.
I think unless there's any other points or conversation that needs to happen across the commission, I am going to ask for someone to make a motion.
So if you're going, we would just request you not deny. We
Mhm.
would rather table it so we can.
Table it?
Talk more if
Okay.
you're not going to approve.
Okay.
Okay.
So keeping that in mind, and again, thank you for standing
Yeah,
up there.
thank you. No
Appreciate it.
problem, no problem.
Okay.
I guess a more appropriate question is, are we done with discussion?
And if there's more to be said, the mic's yours.
Tough spot, tough piece of land.
And again, we're just recommending
Mhm.
something. It'd be recommending approval or recommending denial. It will still go to the city council either way. So,
And I think that recommendation should come with reason. Why? You know, I hope that I've been looking at this from a perspective of having sound reason for recommendation. I don't want to make a recommendation if I have no backing.
no, we've all stated our thoughts. I think the city council is going to have a good discussion on this regardless of whatever
We have to
decision
say.
we make as a body. So,
If we continue it, does it come back to planning commission or does it move? See, and I don't think it needs to
I
come back
don't-
to
it
planning
doesn't need to.
commission.
no,
So,
just.
That would be up to you. You could continue it to the next planning commission meeting if you'd like.
but I don't
and
know if
ask
there's
for more
any
information.
more. Yeah, is there any information that could be presented in front of you that would maybe change? And again, not knowing where
No,
everybody's
Blair's
on.
just,
To include the
I think that's a
concept
great idea.
plan,
Include concept.
include some more
Yeah, if you want to have a concept plan, if you want to ask for a traffic impact, you
But
know,
and
something
to
like
be clear, the
that.
property is for sale.
no, it's not.
owned.
It's not.
No, like and you can go online, it's for sale right now for $1.7 million.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just saying, I don't want to get this plan, and all of a sudden he sells it, and then someone else comes in like, well, they had a plan.
That's happened.
Is the property for sale?
I mean, I can pull it up really quick.
I don't know. I'm just.
I just,
We can't hear you, Shane. I'm so sorry.
I just saying, which is,
He happens.
Is your button muted?
No, he's not muted.
No? Is the volume cranked up on our end?
I did this ask to unmute earlier.
Because it looks like the red microphone has the slash.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear us now, Shane?
I can hear you.
Can you say anything?
Okay.
Would you like me to
call him and then put up the mic?
Yeah. put it
Yeah,
on
I mean-
Yeah, or just ask him if the property's for sale.
Text him.
There you go.
Property zoned R5 is more.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hear him okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Let me mute my audio real quick, so. Okay. The property was for sale because I had an interest in planning. However, it has been removed.
So you've taken it off the market. It's been taken off the market.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I guess I would just, like to, if we continue this, I would be happy with that. And if we're gonna just kind of make a decision on whether to recommend or deny on this, I do want to just, make one last pass here that the housing products that would be acceptable for this space as is would make those homes more dangerous in accessing that arterial road. This arterial road, is a concern to me. And so I get that we're trying to make less homes per acre, but I think that's doing this property a disservice. And anybody who would live there, because it would make it more dangerous. This needs to be a multi-family spot where they have a consolidated parking lot and a single entrance. That will make it safer. And so I'm going to tell you right now, that's how I feel about this. I feel very, passionately that this is, this is the right thing to do on that grounds. Not just because I think that they're bringing this plan for us. I know that a lot of people will come around and say, it's just the money grubbing developers trying to squeeze every last dollar out of this thing.
Which nobody has said that.
No.
For the
No,
record,
I'm
that is
serious.
not once been said.
Nobody has.
Nobody has, and I totally recognize that, but I have heard that said in response to decisions like this that planning commissions make to change a zone to go from a lower density to a higher density. And so I want to be very clear that the reason why I am suggesting we go from a lower density to a higher density in a community that is very density sensitive, that it is due to the safety of this road and making this land, properly interface with the infrastructure around it. This is right off of a freeway, right next to a freeway off-ramp. I would hate to have somebody's driveway, their single-family driveway, right next to an off-ramp. Like, that just doesn't sound right to me.
Make a motion. I mean, I don't know what continuing is going to get us, honestly, especially when we don't have the authority.
Can I answer that?
Please.
I think it would give the applicant an opportunity to try and address the concerns they've heard tonight before it goes to the city council and let you make a recommendation. And maybe they won't do anything with it. Maybe they will. They've asked for that. That's the only reason
Yeah, I agree with what Marty's saying, and I think that we've already determined what R5 is, and we don't allow really any other option. I mean, we have other options, but nothing that works on the property. And it's still an entrance to the city. And I think that, whether it's 11 or 6, that property cleans up and looks drastically better than it does from that standpoint.
It looked great when it was occupied.
When somebody lived there.
Yeah. I
Who
mean,
was
if we
maintaining
go
it?
back to that would be
Any
awesome.
volunteers?
But
Any
I
volunteers?
think with
At 1.7 million?
General RV across the street. So, yeah,
I've said my piece about the general plan and where it's at, and that's what I'm stuck on.
Sure.
I know the time that's gone into that, and I don't want to face the residents on that end of town and have them be like, you guys are just ignoring what we put so much time. And same thing with the R5 code. There was a lot of time and a lot of meetings that was spent on developing that code with reasons for it.
Yep, I've got a strong
So-
back on that. I mean, we're not changing the whole entire city. This is 2.1 acres.
Well, and when the,
2.2,
and
yeah.
like you said, I wasn't here for the general plan meeting, but I mean,
Meetings.
Meetings, buckle
But
up.
when it was
You'll get
discussed,
to be a part of this next
when
one.
it was discussed, was it, I mean, was the conversation had on access points to even what's possible in that area?
Mm,
Or was it just what we would have preferred to be? I mean, I don't disagree. I 100% agree with what the plan says. I prefer that. I just
So,
don't know if
no,
it's
the
possible.
conversation didn't go into that much detail. I think primarily because the owner at the time was living and,
mhm.
I mean, this was
Using
just
the
a
home
future
In
thing.
agricultural.
So we weren't looking at all those details for every little spot of land, so it was kind of just, what's the ideal?
Sure.
So,
Which I think that is.
And if we do our best
If you could
as
get
a
to.
planning commission, we're never gonna be perfect about it, but we do try to do our best.
Yeah, hey, I wish it could be a park. I mean, like, yeah,
$2 million park.
wouldn't that be great?
Can you come back up to the microphone? I'll go ahead and allow that.
Can we apply for a general plan amendment? Can we go through that process?
Yeah.
Because.
I was gonna
mean,
say
to
that's
me,
gonna
it's
be pretty
logical,
painful.
Right? Well, yeah, but everything's painful.
But
oh, you have no idea.
But I mean, I guess what I'm saying is like, it's logical.
you're gonna get 30 different opinions from 30 different people about what's gonna be the best use for this property. And believe it or not, there's still people that think general RV should have been made into a school. Even though it wasn't zoned for that, but, and that's again, we're stuck with the zoning, we're stuck with the general plan.
But we
And
could
that's where I'm
apply
at.
for a general plan amendment.
I think you have the
I'm
votes.
hearing a yes,
I mean, honestly,
for a reason.
I don't agree with it, but I think you got the votes.
Yeah, I mean, this
I
is,
don't know.
Although down on the.
I don't know where Chris is at.
yeah, this is a hard, I mean.
So let's do this.
part of
I'm
this
gonna
job.
ask for a motion and whoever wants to be bold enough to step forward. If I go, it is to deny.
Hmm.
I mean, Maestro, I'm kind of on the fence. Marty has a lot of good points because that area is such a hard line that it's not great right now, right? I mean, and trying to find a better use for that is very difficult. And I feel like now that we've kind of seen a little of his plan, it is a lot better than it is currently. That's where I'm kind of leaning towards.
Yeah, I mean, we are responsible to the code, not to the,
Yes.
to the citizenry. You know, I look at this as being, how do we make this land use better for the city?
Correct.
And that's, you know, that's how I look at that. So, yeah, I totally understand what the general plan has said. I think that we do the best in seeing into the future and contemplating that the best we can. But the general plan is, you know, up for review and amendment every 4 years for a reason.
Mhm.
And I think this is in line with where that general plan ought to be.
Make a motion.
Make a motion.
I make a motion to recommend approval for the rezone request of Cooper's Landing.
You have to state the address.
Oh, thank you. I was looking at the wrong one. Okay, we'll say that again. I move to recommend approval to the city council for ordinance 2024-06, rezone at approximately 6525 south or 75 east from agricultural to residential multifamily by applicant Shane Turner, based on the findings and data in the staff report.
Okay, I'm gonna have a roll call vote, or no,
That's a second.
Second.
anybody want to second that? I was jumping ahead.
I'll second that.
Now roll call vote, starting with Commissioner Roberts.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm a yes.
No.
And I'm a no. So with 3-2, it does still carry to the planning commission or to the city council with a recommendation for approval, but a vote of 3-2. So. I guess we go on to reports next. There's that. Is there any new business? Thank you again very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Business.
New business from the city? Anything we need to be aware of?
I just, on Monday, we will have a new permit technician, community development technician, joining staff and filling that vacancy.
What position is that?
It's community development technician. So they will have their hands in a lot of things, as every employee in the city does. We all have a lot of different hats. So that's building permit processing, planning permit processing, little code enforcement, a lot of administration stuff, accounting, various things, on all sorts of different aspects, but mostly related to the community development department and those activities.
Okay. And you said starting on Monday?
Yes, and she's starting Monday.
Yes.
And then we're also transitioning from ZipFlow, our current online program system, to Civic Review. That will be taking place over the next couple months.
Is that going to change anything in terms of reports, things like that to the commission? That's just more of an internal
I'm not
switch.
sure how much more of a robust reporting system it has, but it'll be an online processing. So hopefully most of the activities will happen online, scheduling inspections, we will be able to do it in-house. That type of thing.
Very nice.
There's a few different modules to it for building permit zoning.
It's not going to change anything for any of us.
I don't think so. They'll allow staff more time.
A little bit more time.
Once we get up to speed on it, and that transition is taking place, we should have a higher level of efficiency.
Good. Okay, is there anything else that you think of? Anything from the commission? Any burning desires?
I could be wrong, but it looks like the lighting got adjusted at the
Right
storage
on.
units, or did I finally just get used to it?
Desensitized to the bright blindingness?
So they did, and I'm struggling with this one because they did go to, they dimmed them, their LEDs, so they dimmed them, and then they put covers on them. And so they did put covers on to get, and really, if you look at the lights now, before they were quite exposed.
Yeah.
And now they have that 90%, it's almost a 90-degree cutoff. But that hillside, I've gone out at night, it's still lit up. So there's just so much ambient light.
Yeah, you said.
I just got used to it.
You just got used to it. It's like it's fine.
Unfortunately, and I feel really bad for the people above that, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know what else they could do. They've got to have security on their site.
You're at least
They've
trying
done
to
what they
monitor.
can, but it's,
Yeah.
you know, is it just the lights coming all the way from the pit that are glaring up into there? That's a long
Blame
way.
everything on the pit.
Just blame it on
Yeah,
this.
I like that.
If you go out and take pictures, I can show you pictures. You can see there's a lot of light coming out of the
There
pit,
is a
so
lot
I
of
don't know.
light going out.
Yeah, so that they did a fair amount of work and worked with us to try and fix that,
Okay.
but I'm sure it made some difference, but it did not make it dark again, that's for sure. I don't know how light it was before, that's part of the problem. It had to get brighter when they put on
It
those
did.
new LEDs and all that, but they've done what they can to cover those up. But
At least they're attempting.
And is there any
making
requirement for
effort.
them to need their sidewalk?
That was gonna be my
Oh,
comments,
yes.
is
Yes,
there are
and-
again multiple spaces, and even what UDOT
And
did
It's looking really
was
rough on.
half
Monday.
I just learned today
Code
that
enforcement
UDOT will
Monday.
not.
code
clean that
enforcement.
Park strip.
Okay,
UDOT will not mow those weeds, so I will contact them.
I'm about ready to go out there with my little edger and take care of it, because it's just becoming
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I just look at it as like the entrance.
Yep.
to
Well,
South
and
River
along the, where the storage
Looks
units
rough.
are, this sidewalk, and I know we're not in school sessions right now, so we don't have a lot of the students trying to utilize the sidewalks to get to Highmark, but it's just becoming way overgrown. And our lovely neighbor to the south I'm also curious if there's been any notices given in terms of the state of his property
Yes.
and just making sure you guys are on that
Processing through that.
process. I had just had a follow-up question on the red striping. Has that come before city council yet? The extension of the red striping along 2700 East, because we are still having daily instances.
Are you really? Because every time I drive by, I cannot, I haven't seen issues.
And the other was to, now that they're interior to the units doing the finishing, now we have the contractor's trucks straddling the sidewalk, parking up right against the units along 2700 East, completely blocking the sidewalk. And then also parking on the corner, which I think is technically city property. I believe that was gifted to the city from UDOT. And so they're parking there as well. And I don't know if there's anything with that electrical box. The cover's completely off. There's wires exposed. Is it even working? Is it a functional box? I just worry about the fire potential, especially with all of the weeds. Paul's gonna fix it for us. He'll be our code enforcement. So those were the only things that I had.
I had one more for on the same property. You know, we'd gone through back and forth forever on, you know, allowing rentals and whatnot. Is there any word on those selling or if they have been or?
So far, none are under contract.
Oh, there you go.
And $500,000.
Yeah. I was just curious to see like how the rental thing's gonna end up
Play
working
out.
Yeah.
So I just have one comment, you know, being on this commission for 5 years, I've seen a lot of tense meetings. I think this was the tensest that we have had, but I think that's okay.
Yeah,
And
no,
the
absolutely.
tension today wasn't negative. It was just honest disagreements.
And how you feel about it.
Differences of opinion. No, I know that, but that's why I'm just saying, I think that's good in a community. I mean, you talked about diversity, there's a diversity of opinion.
Absolutely.
And so I think some people, you know, when I get mad at our city council when it's all unanimous, like every single time. It's like, come on, somebody has to have a different opinion on things. So I just wanted to point that out and appreciate everybody who serves, because it's not easy being up here.
I will
agree.
ask on that. Are we gonna have additional noticing going out? Because I do wonder what was the public notice that was given on this public hearing?
Yes, there
For-
was public notice that went out.
Was it just given to property owners along?
300.
Do we know how many people were noticed?
I could actually.
I'm just
there
curious.
was-
like 164, wasn't it?
No, so let's say I think there was around 70 something.
I
could
live,
give you
I don't live
numbers.
far, I wasn't notified, but
Okay. Are you in Freedom Landing?
I'm in the Old Maple, right up Old
Old
Maple
Maple,
Farm,
okay.
yeah.
Which you might be.
So
I know.
we do
Yeah.
reach out to the county and they, around that cell, they supply us with the list and we send out.
You just didn't
notices.
check your
I do
mail.
have the list with all the names on it. but I
Okay.
can show
If
you.
anything, I'd like to request just additional notification on the city website, if at all possible, because I really
It was
want
also on
people in
city
the area.
website, City
Okay.
website, the state and all notices were mailed. out.
I was surprised, Paul, we love you.
Yeah.
Glad you're here. I was.
You're not
surprised we
impacted
didn't.
on that.
Can these be ran on the sign?
Oh, the Maverick sign?
Well,
Like the
yeah.
marquee?
We have, possibly.
Any public hearing? I think I've seen the one that says, come join our city council meetings. don't
Yeah,
think
I mean,
I've
that's
seen
how I
anything about
know,
planning commission.
that's how I know the fair's
If
coming
you
up, because I
notice
see
there,
that.
yeah, That's a great place to notice
Everywhere.
things.
One comment on, sorry, not miss, is there a code, so General RV tore up the sidewalk actually on this map down here, maybe a month or so ago? Is there a timeline? Does it matter? when
Was it
they-
utility work?
Yes.
It'd be part of their excavation permit that they're in there doing that work.
Okay, I just don't know, and once we get, like I said, went to school zone, that's like a bus stop, so I just want to, but I don't know how long they have.
So maybe do a check-in.
Yeah. Paul.
Sure.
It's kind of out of sight, out of
Courtesy-
mind down the street, so I don't know
courtesy
if,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where's that?
It's actually right, this pump unit right next to that pump unit on this map, actually.
On Old Maple.
Old Maple Farms, yeah.
Alright. And any upcoming conferences, dates we need to be worried about saving in the fall for trainings, anything like that that you're aware of?
October 10th and 11th is the Utah APA conference.
Okay.
Planning commissioners are always welcome to go. I think you're almost free to go.
And that's one the city's budgeted for commissioners to go to, I believe. Isn't that
have
the
been
one
in
we've
the
gone to in the
past.
past?
Yeah.
Yep, so,
They have in the past.
yeah. Double check. I don't think that's changed with the budget review that we just went through. Okay,
I move we adjourn.
I second. All in favor?
Yes.
Good night.
I wanted to say it 20 minutes ago.
Hey, did everybody feel like they got to say what they wanted to say? That's the most important part. And if we don't have to all agree.
Just make the damn motion, Marty.
I almost started to make it, and then he started, so I was like, all right, we'll go this way.
Happy to do it.
Would it have changed anybody's, if it had been a no?
On what?
If it had been a no to deny it? Would it have changed anybody's vote?
I don't think so.
Then you know you made the right decision. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Is anybody having issues with their emails, or did those all?
No, I even
get
replied to
fixed?
somebody's email the other day.
Okay.
You doing good?
I'm going to start
Family's
doing
doing all right?
I know.
Enjoying the summer?
I feel like a text is.
Getting your,
I
doing your Disney fix?
So I still want.
I have like
Okay.
26,000
That was
already.
something.
So.
And does everybody have everybody saved to your phones?
No, I don't know who anybody is.
Yeah, except except for you.
Just
kidding.
I don't wanna know what nicknames you put in there,
Yeah.
so when it comes up, you're like.
Yeah, no, like when that whole debacle happened, I'm like, yeah, there's somebody I don't know. Who's that?
You're gonna go to Europe?
And so I had no way of like really saying like,
Family?
hey, that it should be Julie.
Okay.
Where are you guys
I was like,
gonna
maybe
go?
somebody got a different phone. Maybe they're using their work phone or something.
No, I have one cell phone.
Okay.
Do you guys want to look at this list right now and see if you guys have here? So I think there was a total of.
We need revenue. We have.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yes, so we have to get that out.
It's beautiful. I mean, that's, Switzerland is,
Oh, yeah.
oh,
So.
you're like, yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, when do you, and for how long? How long is that gonna take? 2 weeks? So my daughter went on her mission to Berlin. So we flew into Amsterdam when she got home. She got home in February. She's like, you don't want to go in February. So we waited till May and we went and we flew into Amsterdam and then we rode, we didn't rent any vehicles. We rode by train. And it was perfect because we had no stress with driving or anything like that. But then we went up north because she served up there. And then we came down through Dresden. We did Prague. We did, we came all the way down south. And then we ended up in Switzerland, which was our favorite. Switzerland was awesome. Yeah. We went to Lauterbrunnen.
That's the hard part, is because how do you know
and,
what people are gonna say? And a lot of people get on Facebook and we.
Oh, well, that's, Lauterbrunnen was in Germany, so it would have been, oh my gosh, it's where Lord of the Rings was, where he was inspired to see, right? Lord of the Rings. Oh my gosh, what is it called? Because it is, we stayed in Bingen.
It's gonna sell for a lot
There.
more than land that's owned agricultural. So you kind of got
Anyway.
a standpoint.
Yeah, yeah, no.
I don't necessarily believe.
No, but it,
How do you?
you'll love it. Where are you flying out of? Okay. See, we wish we could have done Italy because we were that close to, but we just didn't have the time to go. But yeah, it was Interlaken. That's what it is. Interlaken Coast. So it's like the valley of 70 waterfalls or something. It's amazing. It's absolutely gorgeous. Like I've never ever been to a place that's been more Yeah, and we did hikes and they have a big, like, gondola that takes you up to the top and you just, Switzerland's just, we could, if we were to go back, that's where we would go for sure. And we stayed in a lot of Airbnbs, which were actually really nice, like for what we, we used our Marriott points for some, like in Amsterdam, we stayed in a Marriott there, but and some in Germany, I think. When we were in Dresden, I think we stayed. But yeah, yeah. I'm not a big city person, like I don't like, but I do like I wanted to see the cow, but and the cowbells coming through the farm and stuff like that. And so we were able to do that. Everybody was, I've never spent so much money on water in my life because they don't, you have to pay for water. Like it is just, and warm water, there's no ice, but